everyone. Welcome to another episode of What the Fuck Did I Just Watch? And I'm joined, of course, as always, by John Paul Mantilla and Jon Wamsley, without his lovely wife, unfortunately. I mean, we do love her, but we do like John to talk to. And we are going to talk about
Started
The
with a
Last
dig.
Starfighter.
Started with a
man.
dig. That's how we do. We started with a dig.
Right
I
on.
mean, we love John, but Charlene is like a whole other level.
No,
We love her a lot, too.
she's like she adds the spice.
She has the spice.
She's the spicy pepper.
She is your Centauri.
Oh yeah. Greetings, Starfighter.
That is right.
So I know why I had this sort of on my list. So I was an arcade junkie as a kid. That's, that my favorite thing to do besides avoid people was go play arcade games. Never been a console player because one, we didn't have a lot of money when I was a kid. So we had like Intellivision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There you go.
Not a lot.
Oh yeah.
We had a Pong console as well, but
that's awesome.
But yeah, but none of the high tech stuff. And we never, as the technology advanced, we didn't keep up with it because it was just a lot of money. But we can still pocket change and go run up to an arcade. And where we spent our summer vacations was Geneva on the Lake, Ohio. And back in the day, that was basically a strip of arcades and bars. And there was a beach. You could swim in the polluted Lake Erie. But none of us got mutant powers, and we're really upset about that. But so I've always loved The Last Starfighter because who doesn't love the fantasy of you're playing a game and excelling at it, and it actually comes to, you being recruited to be this awesome heroic character as opposed to, pumping quarters into bad dudes and realizing you just saved Ronald Reagan, which is extremely disappointing in my opinion.
Bad Dudes is so much fun.
It was, but it was really disappointing to realize what you were really doing.
Yeah.
I saved Reagan? Shit.
At least, when you played Narc, it was saying no to drugs, but then you fought the big pusher at the end.
Yeah, and then it was, congratulations, you passed training. Now the real mission begins. Like all that shit was training. I totally remember that. But,
John, why was The Last Starfighter one of your picks?
Okay, I'll go. Man, so I am a Star Wars fan. I'm a horror fan. I'm a sci-fi fan. But this movie was also kind of like, in a weird way, my fantasy childhood, because when we came to the States, I think I've said it many, many times before, I learned English watching a lot of American movies. This was one of them. Return of the Jedi was, but I also lived in a trailer park. And we had a Miss Pac-Man, like the tabletop one where you battle each other. And so my brothers and I would pump quarters into that. But then when we saw this, it just blew our mind. I mean, because we thought Tron was amazing with its special effects. And then you have this movie. And I mean, because this movie, now that I know, just doing research on it, it being like not the first movie to use CGI, but the first movie to where they prolong scenes. There's like about 25 minutes worth of scenes of CGI in this. And I mean, I rewatched it again this afternoon. It still holds up. It's still fun. I mean, my wife even enjoyed watching it with me today, and she told me that her and her cousins used to watch it all the time, and that would be like the movie they picked, and I'm like, awesome. And how when you watch movies over and over again, you just kind of know them. It had been a while, but then midway through, it just clicked, and I was just saying every line, and I'm like, all right. Because again, Jedi's how I learned English. This one helped. Not very good English, but I learned English. And it's just so much fun. I love just the fantasy of it. And I forgot also until now rewatching it. Then we can get into our favorite scenes, but one of my favorite scenes is just when Alex is talking to Alex. Is just so hilarious because he yells at the brother, I'll tell mom about your Playboys. And I'm like, it's shit like that I can think, maybe me and my older brother kind of had that weird like brother thing where we would hide stuff from each other, like, and don't tell mom about stuff. So I don't know. It just resonated. I love the creatures. It also reminds me in a weird way now rewatching it, uh, like Flash Gordon of the '80s, which is another one of my favorite movies. So yeah, it's just a fun movie.
Yeah, this is one of those, this falls into the class of warm blanket movies. If it wasn't like 80 some degrees, I'd be wrapped up in a warm blanket because it would be wintertime, and but that's how this movie makes me feel. I don't remember how old I was when I first saw it. I know I was very, very, very little. Because this came out in what, 84?
Yeah.
Right, 84. So I was born in 81, so I was very, very little. But I think I saw it on TV or something, and the music was great. This theme, like, obviously it's not Star Wars, but it's akin to Star Wars.
Definitely.
And it's just so good. All the horns and everything in it. And it's like when they finally, triumph, it's such a good triumphant tune. So that, I think that's what I remembered the most. But then as I got older and actually got to go to arcades, it started resonating more. I'd go back and rewatch. It was always on TV or HBO. It was, even though videotapes were like $100 some at that time, like it was always on. We got a station out of Cleveland, WUAB. That was because we were right on the border of PA and Ohio, but I'm from PA. And this was always playing on like a Saturday afternoon. This one, Meatballs too, that because I know Frank, I'm sure he's listening. He loves that movie too. Like those were, this one the most though. It's sci-fi, really cool aliens, and oh my gosh, the special effects. Yes, they're completely dated. Like look at your cell phone, you'll see better graphics. But what they went through to make it, and the technology they had available and how good it looked for what it was, like just like in Tron. I'm a Tron junkie too. I love Tron. Char hates Tron. She hates it. She hates it so much that whenever something sucks, she calls it Tron. Like that is how much we differ on the opinion of Tron in this household. Scarlett, I don't think she's watched it. She's tried. It's a bit too boring for her, which it can be. It can be boring.
That
all right, but anyways,
when I was young, Tron was a little boring for me. I was like, okay.
When I watched it when I was older,
I found it to be a better movie than I recalled it being when I kept like trying to stay awake because it just seemed to drag on endlessly when I was young. But anyway, sorry, I digress.
It was all the bright and shiny things that kept me in the story, even when it dragged. I loved it. But yeah, I was of the age of, a couple years later playing video games. We had an arcade in our local mall. I remember playing the Star Wars Death Star Assault. It was just polygons, clear vector polygons. And the hell do I know about flying a starship? I'm 6, for crying out loud. I'm just pressing buttons, and it just reminded me so much of this. I was like, man, if I really, really try, maybe, and then I'm dead, this is one of those classics. It's maybe kids today could appreciate it, but I don't know. Some might find it too lame.
I don't know. I think this will hold up. I don't know. Like I said, maybe it's just nostalgia, but I will blow your mind, John. So when I did research on this, because that's what we do. We kind of research on it, and I didn't realize this, and this blew my mind, is the fact that you talk about the special effects in this movie. Mm-hmm. They were specifically created for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like
exactly,
they did not exist at all. Like that's what blows my mind, because I'm like, they created these amazing renderings of computer animation that if you go, the closest thing to what this looks like, in my opinion, would be like Lawnmower Man with the virtual reality scenes. I mean, yes, that one's a much, much more polished CGI, but that was like in the early 90s. This was early 80s. And it's like, holy cow.
Yeah.
I mean, not like, now we obviously can do just crazy stuff with CGI, crazy stuff on our phones. But this movie, the effects and like feeling like you're in the cockpit, that's really what I liked about this movie, is because he was strapped down the way he was and he moves and you're just like, and I mean, you can feel that. And like, I remember playing Afterburner in the arcade.
Oh yeah,
the one that actually moved, that you went in, and that's what this movie also reminds me of.
That was
because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in this. And the story is just, it's a fun story. It's a family film. I mean, there isn't like a whole lot of like sex or blood or whatever, but there is carnage. There are people dying. There's no real like foul language, but it's just such a fun, like you said, warm blanket, definitely. And again, yes, nostalgia is a wonderful thing, but it's still, I don't know, it still holds up. I still have a great time. I mean, I texted my brother that I was rewatching it again, and then he just started texting lines to me. And I'm like, dude, he still remembers. It's not like he watched it. And I know Arrow Video released last year that Blu-ray, which, I mean, did they polish up and update the graphics? Because it looks still solid.
Yeah, so they cleaned it up really nice. I have it. I rarely pre-order. I pre-ordered that.
Yeah, same.
Like, it's like months before it was due to come out. I was like, take my money.
Yeah, I'm
getting this. And it looks, I love the slipcase of it and stuff. The graphics on that. This is a special movie.
I agree.
For me. This is one of those ones. It shaped my culture, like my film, my entertainment culture. This is one of the triad, this is one of those ones I've seen it so many times and just is so cool. And Nick Castle, the original The Shape from Halloween, directed this. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah,
that's so neat.
Now here's the weird one. The writer and creator of this movie, his other claim to fame that he went on and did, if you remember this movie, do you remember Theodore Rex with Whoopi Goldberg?
I don't think I ever saw that one.
I bet you remember the cover because it was at Blockbuster all the time. It's this giant dinosaur next to Whoopi Goldberg.
Was he a cop? Were they cops?
Yes.
Okay, I remember that box. We may
that guy directed that. The guy who wrote this movie wrote and directed and produced Theodore Rex.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean,
that's funny.
He set the bar so high with The Last Starfighter.
It was a special effects extravaganza, straight to video.
Exactly. But I mean, I don't know. It just feels good. This movie is just a good, feel-good movie. It's runtime. What is it? It's almost 2 hours. It's like an hour and 40 minutes.
Yep.
But it's like a quick 2 hours.
But it feels,
you don't feel like you're sitting there for 2 hours at all.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's very well strung together.
I mean, you're just like, wow. And every scene is just, because there's no law, it kind of give you the original basis of, okay, here's what's happening. Here's the creatures that are coming after you. And then like even why can't I think of the name? The creature that comes and tries to kill them in Earth.
The Zan.
Yeah. That design, I mean, that's creepy.
That was cool.
Cool. For like, again, practical effects. Amazing.
Oh yeah.
All the
so
stuff.
I have a question about that. This is what's one of those things that always made me wonder from like the first time I've seen it till now. The scene where the Xana is standing in front of the Last Starfighter arcade game in like the Green comes to life and basically transforms him from like the hitchhiker to the weird, snotty, smelly creature. Now, was that supposed to happen? Like that was his goal to go there and transform, or did the machine have some kind of defense thing where it revealed him?
That.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I thought, because that was
totally
my guess
agree
on it,
with
because
you.
it would make no sense that he would deliberately have himself look alien on the earth when he's trying to bounty hunt somebody, you know? But
yeah, no, it's like every right before around that machine, right before something goes down, it acts up.
Yeah.
So it's like either it's like a warning, because like right before that, right before he gets attacked, it kept saying Zer, Zer, like Zer.
Yeah.
3 times it said it clearly. So it's
So
like,
it's a
all right,
warning,
something's
yeah.
about to go down. Yeah. You know, but it didn't. I felt like, why did, you know, since it did it when Centauri landed too. So it wasn't like it's a, I don't know, maybe it's just an alarm of some kind. But yeah, no, I can see where that could be confusing, but it's like it took away his whole face and everything. Like I thought that was,
and it's a cool
it
creature.
totally obliterated his disguise.
Guys, that's what I assumed it was. Then I was watching it later. I'm like, because it also, the way he was standing there, almost like he was checking in at a kiosk. You know what I mean? And that's why it confused me.
Right, right. But he's like, he looks like he's struggling. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but if you ever used a kiosk for anything, we all struggle.
Yeah, but he's like,
I mean, come on, that's what Excalibur does to you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another thing. I mean, it's a great retelling of Excalibur if you peel back like all the layers of really what this movie is. And I thought, man, that's a great way of introducing that kind of different mythology. So.
Oh yeah, this was, and I read on IMDb that was the gist of the whole movie, was like sort of a retelling of the Arthurian legend,
right.
Where except he had like a similar experience at an arcade, like seeing kids play in it and stuff, and he's like, well, what if I do that into space? And then Centauri even references it. He's like, I did not use the Excalibur trick. Yeah. Which I'd be wondering, like, what is it, the sword, or was he doing something else and just called it that?
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah, he just, the retell, I thought this is what a great version of that story. You know, like it was just, I love this movie. In case anyone, you know, I didn't get that out. I'll gush over this damn movie.
You and me both.
I don't care what anyone says. Like, I'll die on the hill for this movie.
One thing that actually dawned on me while I was watching it this time, like, you know, it was probably one of the only movies I've ever seen that made a trailer park look appealing to live in. In all honesty, you know, I mean, they looked very communal. It was pretty clean. You didn't see people running out in wife beaters with, you know, stained shirts and, you know, somebody screaming in the trailer about, don't hit me. You know, I mean,
yeah.
Not
it was a
saying
wholesome
that's
trailer
what trailer park life is, but generally when you see a trailer park portrayed on TV in a movie,
I second that. When I lived in the trailer park, no, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, this was like an idyllic trailer park that does not exist.
It's California.
They vary the trailer park. It was just
in California, they have special trailer parks.
Oh, all right then.
Mine was in Texas, so it was nothing like that.
You know, it wasn't until like maybe a few times of watching this ago that I realized, like, I was always like, why is Alex doing all this? Like being the handyman and shit.
Yeah.
I didn't realize his mom was the manager. There's a sign real quick
that says manager's office.
Yeah. I never noticed that until just like a few times ago. And I've seen this movie many, many times. Like many times. So that was a cool little detail that the Blu-ray brought out. You know, I was like, oh, this dude's, not only is Lance Guest like already charming, because he's just cool. I like that dude. Even in Jaws the Revenge.
So you know, it didn't even dawn on me until I think I was watching that he was the main character of Jaws Revenge. Like, yeah. So I mean, it's like what, 4 years difference between those two movies, and like it's not like he looks completely different, but he looks way more mature in Jaws.
He's older. Yeah, he's
much
older, yeah.
But I mean, it's only 4 years. It's not like, you know, 10 years later. It's 4 years. You know what I mean? It's not that big of an age difference. So yes, he is more mature, but the change was not that expected.
He spent all that time in the sun without sunscreen. Weathered him up a bit.
Aged your face, the crow's feet.
Yeah.
Or he's a smoker. I mean, yeah.
It was the 80s. Pretty much everyone was a smoker then.
Yeah. But yeah, I always
me.
wondered, like, he just must be a super cool dude. He's just like donating his time. Never understood that until now.
Yeah, no, I mean, the only thing that I always, bothered me about a lot of the fun epic movies of the 80s that, I loved was still that there was really no place for female character besides, I mean, Maggie was support. The mom was just, she was the manager, but she was the waitress. And, she just supported her kids. Even like in outer space, most of the female characters you saw, again, support kind of characters, not fighters, not anything. So again, you had to kind of imagine you were a guy if you're a girl watching these movies, and it could happen for you too. There was, very little representation for us girls out there. So
yeah, that is true. That is true. I wonder, there's been, I mean, they've been talking about doing a sequel for
25
friggin'
plus
decades.
years.
I mean, the way it ended, it was set up for a sequel for sure.
For sure, 100%. Like, if not now, when? The technology has advanced so far that they could even, like, God forbid they remake it. But I'm talking about with the original team, because the writer Jonathan Beitel, he I believe he owns the rights. Or something like that.
He retained the rights. Yes,
there
was a battle. There was
a
legal battle between them, Universal, and TriStar Pictures, because apparently TriStar or MCA owned the video distribution rights. That was the biggest thing. I finally found a huge article on it, and that was the problem, was who actually owns the rights to this movie, because over the years so many people's hands have been on it.
Yeah,
I mean, that happens with a lot of property, as you know. And yeah, there was, what was it, I think it was like 3 years ago, they had that like test like special effects of what the sequel was going to be with an updated ship and everything, and I was like, when is this coming out? And I know there was, I don't think there was a crowdfunding, but there was something like it that they were trying to push, interest. But it's like, okay, if you do a sequel now, I mean, Alex, we would like be seeing Alex's grandkids now.
Or I feel like he'd probably be like
high command.
High commander, but then he'd have to like maverick out and go back into battle for some reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's getting in that Gunstar. One way or the other. He is gonna Captain Kirk that shit.
And then he's got a beautiful wife who can do it as well.
Yeah, and his kids want to be starfighters and stuff. Like, he wanted to rebuild the Legion.
Yeah.
Like maybe they get Earth involved.
Oh, like Gary Lewis, the most obnoxious character in the entire movie. I don't know why they didn't shoot that kid.
Yeah.
But they kind of lined it up that he was working on being the next recruit, So.
Lewis, go to bed or I'll tell your mom about the Playboys.
It was that, like, he ran through the whole park, was just shooting people with his dart gun and knocking people over and being obnoxious. I'm like, his mom should have beat his ass. Or one of the people in the trailer should have just tripped him.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I was probably Lewis as a kid.
I bet your mom did beat you, though, didn't she?
My dad beat me, but yes.
I loved Lewis, probably because I was closer to his age than anything.
Well, I think he reminded me too much of when my brother behaves obnoxiously. So, though my brother's actually older than I am, but only by like a year. So I was just like, oh, good, another little spoiled brat running around just being entitled. Yay.
Yeah.
Fun. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. You know what? There's a little thing in here. So every once in a while, I'll hop on eBay because I'm nuts for movie collectibles. I don't know if you can see behind me.
No,
but like,
I don't know anything about that.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought that was just you were
like-
filming at a grocery store or at a department store.
right? Yeah, yeah. The old Hills department store. I wish. I totally forgot what I was gonna say.
Sorry.
Oh yeah. So
eBay,
no, I jumped. No,
collectibles.
no, no. Yeah. So they made a little ray gun with the logo on this. It's like got a white plastic tip and like a ring. It's connected to a ring to the handle. Well, I was like, where the hell does this come in? It is literally on the desk in their bedroom when he's fixing his head.
Really?
It's totally there. Yes, it's one of the tools. I don't know if it's one of the tools or it's just like a toy ray gun that was left out, but it's like frames.
Wow.
So yeah, and there was a board
The gun
game
that
too.
Lewis was running around with at the beginning as well, though.
That one shot darts.
That one
It
shot
did.
darts.
That was like I believe it was like a little one of those blue ones that you just like
It's the suction cup
load and
ones.
pull. Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
I'll have to pay attention because he had the space
Yeah.
helmet on too, and for some reason I thought the space gun that was sitting on the desk was part of that set. But he
No,
might have been
no.
running around with the dart gun with the space helmet.
Yeah. And they also had made a board game of this. I can't remember what it I've seen it a few times on there. I don't remember what it was though.
Well, I was just thinking about this too. I was watching. So, of course they had a video game of it, but I don't recall ever actually seeing the video game at the time. Like, I don't
So
know
check-
if it just didn't get very popular and therefore it wasn't distributed widely or what.
All right, so I know a little bit of something about this.
I do
So-
too.
School us.
All right. So it existed for Atari, but it was never released because I found years and years later, like in the 90s, I found like it was a friggin' Angel Fire website, with it had some sounds and a downloadable ROM of what it was, of what I could never get it to work though. But I saw the screenshots and obviously it's not what you saw in the movie.
Well,
Duh.
let me elaborate to that, John.
Okay, go for it.
So here's the thing: the game actually did come out twice,
Really?
for the 2600 and for the 7800. But here's the caveat and weird kicker of it:
Okay.
they didn't call it the Last Starfighter.
Okay. Starfighter?
No, one was Star Command, which they took anything that resembled this movie, and then the other one was Fighters, and that was one of those kind of like ET where they released it and then it disappeared.
Huh.
So yeah, so they were
Whoa.
actually released, but they released them under different names because,
Well, that's really poor marketing.
well,
Yeah.
originally Atari bought the rights and wanted to make the actual arcade and put it in the arcade, but then they realized this is going to be way too expensive to give
Mhm.
people the experience of what he was actually playing in the movie. So they
Mhm.
scrapped that, but they did try two versions for the home market, and it was just like,
Speaking of,
yeah,
it exists for the Nintendo.
really?
Check this out. So it was they just slapped the Last Starfighter on it. They made a title screen that played the theme in
Okay.
Nintendo music, and it said the Last Starfighter on it. It even had if you remember the VHS where it was like a mashup of like the Scepter grid
Yeah.
and in space, it had that, but as good as Nintendo could do it, I could never get it to work though. It played, and then it would go to like a ship that sort of resembled the Gunstar, just flying across some metal surface, some
Oh, wow.
spaceship, and the controls never worked. It was
Did
supposedly
you
some
fire the Death
space.
Blossom first? Is that what happened? I'm just kidding.
No, I swear to God, no buttons worked on this thing. No, they just like slapped it on there. Box 2, The cover, I believe, is Jenny's background.
Nice.
The cover of the cartridge.
Yeah.
And it was a space mining game, I believe, they just slapped that onto it.
That's hilarious.
It has it's just an in-name only, title screen only, cover and that, but nothing else.
Trying to steal people's money, basically.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Obviously, if you're into ROMs and stuff, like, it exists and it's neat, but even on the ROM, I still couldn't get it to work. And I'm
wow. Interesting.
It was a busted ass game.
Well, a lot of NES games were busted ass games.
No patches.
I mean, even though still, and everybody, you can all fight me, the greatest NES game of all time is still Blaster Master.
I couldn't
I don't think I ever played that.
That's your pet frog gets radioactive and you go into the other world, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't get past like the second level.
Was it a console game or an arcade game?
It was a Nintendo.
Console.
Yeah, like I said, we didn't have consoles, so I wouldn't have known it.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest games ever made. And then Contra. And then Contra.
Oh, for sure. But I loved arcades, man.
Yep.
I got to them anytime I can. And guess what? 5 minutes up the road from me is an arcade museum.
Oh,
you pay by the hour, it's $20 for 2 hours, and then go, you can, if you want to stay there all day, you can. I think it's like $40 from open to close.
Oh, wow.
I something like that.
Now, can you play everything in there for free, or is it you have to dump quarters in?
Play everything for free. Now, please understand. Please, everyone is welcome. Please come visit. We would love it. Not everything works perfectly.
Of course not.
But they got the KISS pinball machine.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, they got, it's called the Pinball Museum, right? It is, the majority of the stuff is pinball, but they got a ton. I love pinball too, but they got a ton of
pinball.
Does it have the Munsters pinball? No,
I don't remember, but they definitely have the Funhouse one with the puppet head. That was always one of my favorites. I don't know why. They got obviously the KISS one. They got some modern ones. They got the AC/DC one, the Iron Maiden one that just came out. It's a newer one. It is bad ass, man. Holy crap. They got one called Hercules, I think, or Zeus. It's the biggest pinball machine ever made. Like, you're literally flinging a pool cue ball.
Oh, wow.
Now, it's not like a whole huge thing. It's got a couple bumpers and stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's something that big, you can't get a lap.
It's not as interactive as
but
some of them.
It's neat. It's something cool. And obviously they got a few machines of Tron and Ninja Turtles and the Simpsons,
Turtles.
The classic stuff.
So Tron just freezes up when you're playing it every time.
No, it totally works.
How's that possible? Because every time I played Tron in the arcade, that's stupid. It would crash on me.
Did it freeze up, or did you just get so bored from playing the game?
It freezes up.
No, the game was much more exciting than the movie. I really can't say that.
Tron would give you all these different stages and different things, and then you get to the last one where you're shooting, and everything, and then it freezes. At the place I would go, Riverboat Playhouse. It was like a generic Chuck E. Cheese. I remember this is Miami, Florida. My brothers and I would just pop tokens into this thing. We're like, we're going to beat it this time. We're going to beat it this time. It crashes every time.
At the same point?
At the same point.
Oh, then it was busted then. That's a shame.
It was so annoying because I'm like, oh, damn.
Aw.
But that's also where I did also play Star Wars with the little.
They got that too.
That's a fun one.
They have they may have taken it out, but they did have the one you sit inside and the stand-up version, and they have the Empire Strikes Back one.
Ooh, I haven't played.
And even the Return of the Jedi one, it was like a Zaxxon rip.
Yeah.
Where I remember you were on exactly. Exactly. Yeah, you guys.
Trust me, I popped a lot of quarters into that one.
Yeah, that's like if you guys come visit, that's stop one.
Okay. So let's go back to this.
Okay,
let's
yeah,
go back to
Yeah.
this
All
movie.
right. Anyways,
We got out of the
it ties
tangent.
together. It
So-
ties together.
It ties together.
Actually, just dawned on me that some people have never seen this movie. I can't imagine how that's possible, but just the quick gist of it all is Alex lives in a trailer park and is dreaming bigger. He wants to get out of his small town. His escape plan is college, which he's got accepted, but he's hoping for a loan for living expenses. Back in that day, you actually had to apply separately to like banks and institutions for loans. You didn't do it all through the FAFSA like back in my day, which I assume is still kind of what you do now, but I'm out of touch. But so he's got a girlfriend, Maggie. Maggie's a little bit leery about leaving the trailer park. Her big excuse is Granny. Granny actually appears to be a badass who listens to a Walkman and probably kills people with a shotgun.
Yep.
Definitely. There's your strong role. There's your strong
Yeah.
role.
She's-
Yeah, I was gonna say
I
there's your
love
one strong
Granny.
female character.
Yeah, there you go.
Granny was so cute. I loved
She
her
was
so
awesome.
much.
I loved her. But
Yeah.
of course, Alex's loan application gets rejected, which he finds out the same day that he has beat the Last Starfighter game, which everybody in the whole trailer park is very excited about and was witnessing. And of course, lo and behold, while he's in his depths of despair about how is he ever going to be able to get out of there and take Maggie with him, that Centauri, who was the person who created the game as a test to recruit starfighters, because much like, which I'll get into this later, but much like military recruiters in the US, they get a commission for fighters. So that's Centauri's skin in the game there. But he comes down, he recruits Alex. Alex isn't quite sure what's going on, but he's like, sure, I'll get in the fancy car. They take him up to outer space, find out that the Starfighter game was actually based on reality, that the frontier is going down, the bad guys are about to win. Alex is like, I'm out of here because this is not my shit and I don't want to die. They go back to Earth. More shit happens where, it becomes really obvious that his only choice is to go back and defeat the enemy. Otherwise, he's going to be hunted for the rest of his life on Earth. Of course, in the interim, all the other starfighters get wiped out because there's a betrayal there. I forgot exactly what the hierarchy was, but basically the prince of the Rylons. Probably messed that up.
That's right. No, you're right.
Oh yeah.
Had betrayed them all and gave the
Sure.
codes to the defenses and stuff. So they wiped out all the gunships but one and all the starfighters, but Alex and his navigator, because the navigator and his starship were in a different bay being worked on. And of course, Alex was not on the base at the time. So they go up. Alex, whines quite a bit. Eventually his navigator gets him to get confident. They end up saving the day, return triumphantly to the trailer park, grab Maggie and go. And that's I know, really quick summary, but go watch the movie, you'll get the rest of it. But just so you understand the plot, so when we say some things, you're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. There you go.
Now,
Yeah.
Jenny, you did first forget that Centauri decided to go 26 trombones led the big parade. Do you remember that part?
That he was in Music Man?
Yeah.
The actor
Centauri
that is?
is the lead of the Music Man, which I think is great as well.
Oh yeah, he was a good salesman.
Yeah. In sixth grade, I was in the Music Man, and they made us watch it before we put it on. And I mean, again, I never really watched the Music Man ever until this time, and the first thing I said was Centauri.
So the actor
And my
played Centauri is Robert Preston, and he was a very prolific actor from
Uh-huh.
the 30s through the 60s,
Yeah.
70s even.
And I remember my teacher
I
going,
think this
"What
might
are
have
you
been his
talking
last
about?"
movie, though. He died
This-
at 3
This
years
was
ago.
the
his
last
last movie.
movie. Yep. You know who else is in this movie who is now big? Well, I guess you can say he's now big, but he was.
Will Wheaton?
Will Wheaton. That's right.
Mhm.
I watched this movie a gazillion times, and then today I was like, oh my god,
I
that's
didn't
Will
see
Wheaton.
him in it. I still don't. I guess because I just
Me
blocked
neither.
anything to do with
It's
Lewis.
fast. He's Lewis's friend.
Yeah, I was gonna
It's
say that's
really
what I
fast.
saw him in the credits. It says Lewis's friend, and it was Will Wheaton. I was like, was he? I didn't even.
Yeah, but it's so quick because I'm like, because
Lewis has a friend.
I even went
Yeah.
like this to my
There's
wife.
only
I
a
go,
few
"It's Will
kids
Wheaton."
there. Will Wheaton.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's such a great and magical movie, and just fun, and just people watch it. That's all I have to say. People need to watch this movie. It's I highly recommend it.
But yeah, so what was actually very interesting to me watching it this time. So I never served, but I did actually go through Army basic training. So I went through the military recruitment process. And when you have gone through any kind of U.S. military recruitment, I can't speak to outside this country. And then you watch the scenes where Centauri's like getting money and just conning him into it. You know, like just how he's like, oh, you're not really even going to be in any danger. You got to start, gunfighter. It's fine. And like he's getting the money for the crew. Like, you've been honest. Oh, yeah, he knows what's going on. Not even telling him that there's a war or anything really. Just here's your chance to make it big. So,
there's
like
nothing
I said,
going on in
commissioned.
Afghanistan.
So, and like anything commissioned, there's two things that happen with people that work on commission. They will either lie through their teeth to get all the money they possibly can, or they never really look into what they're told with the recruiting materials to verify them in any real way, because it's just their job and they don't really mean to go out and lie to you. But this is what it said for me to do, so I'm going to
sign here. It's okay.
So, cool. 3 squares in a bed.
That's
all
right.
you need. So yeah, it's just really funny watching that. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Somebody did some research or had gone through military recruitment when they were doing that role. We're drawn from that for that.
But then he goes.
Yeah, that was
that was so cool. That
So,
used to scare me when I was little.
He's kind of a creepy looking alien, honestly.
And again, the effects were so cool that they were kind of scary. They were just, I don't know.
The effect of him getting his face was not cool. So yeah, Centauri briefly seems to be passing on to another world at the end of the movie. The whole time Centauri shows up as a human. Like, not that he is human, but he looks like a human. He doesn't look alien to us, like he looks just very expressive and just older white male. And at the end, he's just kind of this gray, glowy eyed, very skinny in a hood alien. And then he takes the red handkerchief that he had as, Centauri when he looked human, puts it on his face, and poof, Centauri. But it's like really bad because there's like no hair or anything, and all of a sudden, poof, hair.
Yeah,
that was one of the effects where I thought was terrible. Like, they didn't do that part well at all. But it was
the
fun,
Merlin,
and we were kids, so we didn't care. But
exactly.
I will say, I watching it again, it also refreshed my memory of my one gripe as a kid with this movie. And this is nitpicky to the max of a gripe. So at the beginning of the movie, Alex gets a little chip that helps him translate, correct?
Choose your words carefully, JP.
That's right. You remember that? Okay.
Yeah.
At the end, he introduces his friend to everybody in the trailer park. How can
they understand him?
And they understand.
He did not know. He could have just learned English. Just saying.
I felt like that. I feel like that too, but no one. But Alex was like the first English.
Exactly.
Presumably.
No.
I mean, they might
unless
have,
Excalibur
when you go to school, you learn random dead languages that nobody speaks anymore. Maybe Greg, in his little lizard world, they had
again
learn human.
He lived in a cave underground with his family.
Yeah, 10,000 Griglets.
Clearly had mechanical skills. He came up with that blossom.
Again, the littlest gripe ever.
Yeah,
actually, that's kind of they didn't give Greg the character any credit at all. Like, Alex comes out as the big hero, really. But if you think about it, the death blossom was Greg's.
Yeah.
The navigating was Greg's. The even, waiting till everything was in range was Greg's. The getting Alex to stop being a whiny bitch was Greg.
That's right.
That's true.
I mean, he's the Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
But everybody was cheered Alex. I mean, they kind of were like, you guys did great. And then it was like, but Alex, we need you to rebuild. It's like, Alex's ass didn't even want to be there the whole time.
That is true. But Greg was totally involved with that. Greg will probably be in a sequel.
a
because
lieutenant,
I'm sure they
like a high
yeah,
ranking, even a trainer or whatever.
exactly. I could see him being like a trainer or something. Alex just like eventually ascends, to whatever the top role is. But like I love Alex. I love all them. But enough about the heroes. Let's talk about the bad guys a little bit here because they were pretty awesome.
You mean the devils?
To me.
Which were awesome?
I was so fixated by that stupid red lens when I was
I love that.
And that, like, one of my favorite
I
scenes
loved
at
it
the
as a
end
kid. I would just
when, like, his companion is like, "What do we do now?" And that thing flips over. And he just goes, "We die." I just love that scene.
So
What a great line!
That is so good. We die.
That's probably my favorite part of the movie, to be honest with you, because he's just like, "We die," and
they do the Star Trek motion.
It's just so cool. Yeah, I like those dudes.
Even at the time, you could tell it was just a cheesy plastic lens, but
it was so cool,
so awesome.
Right? Yeah. His power level is over 2,000. That was the first scouter. But those dudes, I loved all their makeup.
Yeah,
especially the little snail drone guys, whatever their deals were.
That was those they weren't really explained. That was the one thing, was like the organic robotic. Whatever. They're cool. I liked how their voices sounded.
Their Cylon voices, all exactly the same. Which was awesome.
What are you talking about?
It totally worked for me. I don't care. It was totally fine. But I really like the two Kodan guys because they were like, listen, this fucking dude, he doesn't know. Zor, whatever, Paul, whatever, I don't care what his name is. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And I feel like I wish they would have lived to betray him. Because what they did was totally.
They sort of did, though. I mean, they right before all hell breaks loose, they're like, just arrest this guy.
Yeah, listen, we're done with him. Take him away. I don't think. See, here's the thing. He was the only guy, like the only. He would be the only Ryland, but you know what I'm saying. He was the only. He was the only white dude on the bridge, and they're like, you know what, we're done with this guy.
Yeah.
Get him out of here. He doesn't belong. He's not one of us, first of all. So why the hell are we listening to him, right? Because I would have loved to have seen the Kodan Emperor, what his deal would have been. Like, there's so much more story available to tell. Like I don't care if they would make this a series. It doesn't have to be another movie. I'd be cool with an episodic series. They could go everywhere with that.
That would be amazing.
Or shit, give me an anime on it. Like that would be that would be cool. Because I know, have you guys seen the Star Wars that's coming out? The trailer, Star Wars Visions.
Yes.
Right.
But back on
like
it, though, I loved the whole interaction the whole time where you had, the two of them were talking, and anytime the stupid, like, entitled Prince Boy would show up, they would just kind of.
There you go.
Yep. And then as soon as he left, they would be like, we got to deal with it for a little bit longer. The Emperor said, till he's no longer useful. So you knew the whole time this guy was going to get thrown over.
Oh, yeah.
Like you knew, this guy didn't know. He was like, "I'm in charge. Look at my scepter." I mean, it was so balanced in so many ways. But
look at my dick.
Here's my dick.
You know who he kind of reminded me of, and I can't think of the character's name, but the prince in Voltron, who was the villain as well.
Lotor.
That's what it is.
Lotor.
That's
totally.
That's
his outfit for sure. His outfit for sure. No, for sure.
Voltron, I think, came out about the same time, maybe. I don't know.
Early 80s, yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember going, there's a lot of similarities.
Except for the hair.
Except for the hair. But I mean, just the way the character was, especially.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. And I would like to see Zor slimed away. Let's see what he's up to. Like he's probably like Grima Wormtongue or something, like getting in
Well,
whatever
there
that
was the
dude's
whole
name.
fact that he had a cult. Like, I don't know that like my original watching as a child, if I remember that part, but the fact that, he had like a defunct cult that they had rounded up afterwards, it was
Right
to begin with. So that
layers.
was, interesting.
See,
There was
this
a whole
movie
story
has
there.
layers. That's the thing.
yeah.
More people need to watch this, so then they decide to remake a
Is
new
there like fan
whatever.
fiction out there about this? Like, I never look up fan
Oh,
fiction, but
God,
I'd be
probably.
curious
There
to see.
might be.
I wouldn't be surprised.
You
But
know
I'm
what?
nervous to, type in fan fiction of the Last
Oh,
Starfighter, and you find some
I'm
weird
almost
porn
afraid
shit.
though, but I would wonder if anybody took the cult aspect and ran with it. That would be interesting.
Well, we know at least that dude that screwed them over by bombing the by disabling that console, he was presumably in that cult,
In that
because
cult,
he would have
yeah.
been only the second Ryland that known, you know what I
Right.
mean, besides Zor. So like obviously he was in on it, but I'm talking, I think he was like one of the cult members,
Yeah, probably.
and it's like, and that totally makes sense. But yeah, what was that all about? That would have been cool. Is he Jim Jones in them? Like, what's happening?
I mean, clearly you didn't make them drink the Kool-Aid, but it sounds like the rest of the Rylands wiped them the fuck out. Maybe
Yeah,
it's like, Trumpsters. They're like, no, we need to get rid of that.
Hey.
Oh God, yeah.
They died.
Yeah, they died.
They died.
I love the design of their starships too, like especially because all the ships were just little mini versions of the command ship. Right. Exactly, it was just shrunk down version of it. It's like, hey, listen, you know how long that thing took to render? You're goddamn right, we're just making them smaller. Yeah. Like
was it Grandma's Boy, where they were a game designer and they realized that like the elves on two different levels look the same? They're like, just make the other ones blue.
Yeah, exactly.
Just make them smaller. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but like I've watched the special features on, even the original DVD had a really good documentary, and it's been ported a few times.
Yeah, no,
I think just seeing the machines they worked with, it was like this big, is at least maybe taller than my room, like giant, just mainframe style computers that process this, every scene needed for this movie.
And now
it's
half
just
of
amazing.
This phone can probably process it.
More than half. Like there's like the freaking animations on your wallpaper is leaps and bounds beyond that. That's like quantum shit compared to like that what was available. But what was available,
I know,
they made some awesome stuff.
They made it work. And
in all honesty, when you watch it, it's not so glaringly bad. Like, I thought I'd watch it and the CGI would be so just outdated that it would be like, kind of hurt. But it really wasn't that bad. It was
there wasn't. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It doesn't show up as that bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you watch it and go, oh, that's awful. It's more like, yeah, that's kind of dated, but it doesn't look like, claymation or stick figures walking by. Or like how it glaringly shows out in the Matrix when Keanu Reeves' character is falling off the building. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just looks like a little.
Yeah, it's
like
I mean,
yeah,
it's not ugly.
To me, it looks
not ugly.
Like VR stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just looks like VR stuff. So I mean, it still holds up. So I don't know. Do I recommend this movie to everybody? Hell yes.
Of course you do.
If you're a fan of sci-fi and video games, how can you not? Like, don't watch Ender's Game, read the book, but watch this.
Yeah.
This is the original Ender's Game ish. They're in the ballpark. They're in the same ballpark. Like, I can't recommend it enough. My daughter likes it. She's 8, so
I was going to ask you if she's watched it.
She has. She was a little bit younger when she watched it, but she loved the music like I did.
Yeah,
like that was what drew her in. And then like she liked the video game stuff. She loved the monsters. She loved the creatures. And when it we die, she was like, I was like, yeah.
Like, for the life of me, I really can't tell you why that scene had such an impact, but almost everybody I know who watched the movie loved
It
that
was
stupid little
bad.
It was badass. That's
It's
so
Like
true.
the stone coldness, the stone cold realization. He's like, we're dead, all because of this stupid white dude. Like, he brought this on us. All right, like, but we die. He just accepts it and just. And then that that's it.
Greg was hilarious. The noises that Greg makes just also made my day. He makes some amazing.
I mean, it's Dan O'Hurley under all that makeup.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like that. I've only seen him in this, the RoboCops, and Halloween 3.
Yeah.
So I
know
know
he's in a lot of 50s and 60s movies
totally,
as well, but
yeah,
like I wouldn't have been able to
I know
pick him
that.
out.
Right, exactly. So it's like I knew what I knew about him, and what I knew is he was he was so versatile. Like he could play nice, evil, no matter what. And I was like, dude, I want to be friends with Greg. Like he is so nice. And he looks like he's got a turtle shell on his head. That's cool.
He was like half turtle, half like alien from V. So he had like turtle the top, V the rest. And I'm like, I don't know. I guess that's why I liked him.
He was totally turtle faced.
Yeah.
Like without the beak, but like, you know, and I wish we could have seen more. I mean, this obviously didn't have the highest budget. It had a big budget, but you know, like I would have loved to have seen more other aliens.
Yeah.
Especially them Cthulhu looking octopus people, because that was cool. The one that almost ripped Alex's arm off. He's like, arr! Like that was a cool little masking effect. Especially when the close up where it just went haywire. Like, you know, that was awesome. That was so cool. Yeah. I always remembered that part.
You know, the more I think about it, so the other thing, like I said, that bothered me, there wasn't really a lot of good, you know, representation for women, but not that there was terrible representation, where it just wasn't anything special, but you know, Catherine Mary Stewart was from Night of the Comet. You know, she was like a badass in that.
Oh God.
So it's kind of hard to watch her just be like I'm afraid to leave the trailer park character. You know what I mean?
Which came out first? This, right?
I think so.
So.
Now I'm gonna have to Google. So you all talk and I'll do that.
I feel like it's 86. I feel like Night of the Comet came out in 86.
Same year.
Really?
Same year.
Month. What was the?
Wow.
Let's see. Release date. Where are you at?
Initial
release was November 16th, 1984 for Night of the Comet. According to Google.
And this was probably August, maybe?
I'll look at that too.
I think it was August.
Release date was July.
July, okay.
So close.
July 15th, is that right?
13th it says, but
okay.
13th.
I was close.
Yeah. Again, Google. So.
Yeah, I was like trying to get into IMDb, but it was
on my mind.
A lot slower than Googling.
And I would say Google's a little less accurate than IMDb, so everybody take all that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Do your own research.
So
yeah,
she probably filmed them, you know, close to each other.
Yeah.
Night of the Comet. I mean,
we could do one episode.
Yeah, I don't want to get into tangent. Yeah. But yes, that is another great movie, and probably we should do it in the future if it hasn't been done on any of the other shows on ZTO.
Yeah, I definitely saw this before Night of the Comet, and I had a little itty bitty crush on her.
I'm sure.
She's so cute. My little hormones were in overdrive. I was like, she's just so cute.
All right, so let's do final thoughts.
Yeah.
All
right, cool.
Go, John. Final thought.
Final thoughts. It's awesome. Like what have we been saying this whole show? It's amazing. You know what? I do have a couple tidbits on the Blu-ray They just came out. They remember when Beta was becoming the Alex, and he was all white, and it was that jump scare. Because that jump scared me, right?
The latex that get blown up.
No, yeah. They totally changed the music.
Oh,
totally changed the music. It was like jarring because I'd seen it so many times.
Wow.
Yeah, and then Centauri's eyes at the end are on the Blu-ray are like way off because it got cleaned up so much.
Oh.
So that's like way different. Okay, but that's it. Other than that, this is such a classic film. Michael Myers directed it, so check it out. It is, I mean, it's that warm blanket. You're having a bad day, put this on. It's a great mood elevator. It's a classic. It's an 80s staple. It is a huge part of my childhood. Please watch it and enjoy it. 10.
All right, I'll go. How do I follow up with that?
Yeah, I know. What do you think?
I mean, I pretty much agree with all of that. Yeah, it really is. It's just a fun movie. I mean, anybody can watch it. The whole family can watch it. There's nothing really terrible. I mean, it's a PG rated movie, even 80s PG, which can be risque at times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It put a big smile on my face again, and I don't know. I'll rewatch it in a couple months again, probably. And like you said, it's a warm blanket, and you know, this and Return of the Jedi, like I said earlier, it's just something about these two movies. I'm like, man, I just pop them in, and then out of nowhere, I start reciting lines like, just because it's just like that, and it just
I got the goosebumps from the music. Like,
exactly. So, all right, Jenny.
Yes,
Closes off.
Definitely one of my childhood favorites. Still near and dear. The same thing I would say about a lot of the movies from the 80s and actually in early 90s too. Not a lot of diversity in cast, though you do see some diversity in the trailer park community. Hard to say whether or not you see diversity in the alien community because it was just their white Rylons and then creatures. So
Say.
Like I said, not a lot of variety and representation for female characters, but again, you have that with those movies at the time because people were just making movies they wanted to see, and you just kind of find what you can in there for yourself and enjoy the movie for what it is. Just a guy or a person wanting to escape a life that they're not happy with and getting an amazing opportunity to do so and succeeding. So yeah, definitely an uplifting, cozy movie and stands up really well, fun to watch, really fun to watch. It just goes and takes you right through it. You don't have a moment where you're like, is this necessary? Like you almost want more, as we've been saying, you almost want a little more information, though while you're watching it, you're not like, we need more information here. It's just more like, what about that cult? Like after you're done watching it.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a great movie. Enjoy, watch it. I'm sure it's streaming somewhere or will be soon, or at least rentable. So
yeah, or grab that Arrow Blu-ray. It's worth it. It's pretty amazing, and you get like a book and a poster with it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the new cover is pretty awesome too. Yeah,
the new cover is really good. One of the few times I haven't switched over to the original. This is better.
Great. Well, thanks everyone. I hope you enjoyed. This is What the Fuck Did I Just Watch on Zombie Takeover TV. I'm Jenny.
John Paul.
John. Good night.